Thank you for the introduction. I'm very pleased to be here. So as the Chair of Seafood Industry Australia, I'd like to welcome you to Seafood Directions 2017. I was really happy to see the title of See the Future when it was released. I think it's very apt, especially at this time in our journey as an industry, just having created a united voice. So as said, as a third-generation retailer, I also want to welcome you to Sydney. It's my hometown. It's where we do business. It's where we interact with industry. And as a family, we're very much invested in the New South Wales seafood community as well as the national seafood community. I'd like to thank the organising committee who've done a wonderful job, New South Wales Seafood Industry Council and Sydney Fish Markets, the sponsors FIDC, Ocean Watch Australia, Austral Fisheries, New South Wales Department of Primary Industry, Union Pay International, and all the sponsors that go into putting together and supporting a day like this. It's a fantastic achievement, so thank you very much. I'd like to thank Assistant Minister Anne Ruston for presenting the Commonwealth Fisheries Policy Statement and for your constant support. It goes beyond what you expect. It's my first interaction with politics, and I think I said to somebody, is that normal? A minister's always that wonderful and supportive and available. And I'm told, no, that's not the usual experience, so I shouldn't get used to it. But we do acknowledge the statement. We acknowledge the principle of resource sharing. Collaboration is a really important cornerstone for SIA. So we understand the need to work with government and to work with recreational and Indigenous fishers to arrive at workable and respectful solutions. The relationship between all fishers is a complex one. So on some issues we're opponents and on some issues we're partners, and we have to stand very firmly together. And I think SIA gives us a united voice and places us really well in a good position to navigate those kind of negotiations. Also, science-based decision-making is a really exciting concept, and one that we really are pleased to see as part of the statement. SIA and its members, we have to say, are going to start demanding good policy based on sound scientific and sustainable principles. We're not going to tolerate other industries or other associations and being used who would use us for their political agenda. And especially where ideals just aren't based on rational argument. So we've come round, we've gotten together, and it's time to change that rhetoric. It's a great pleasure to actually report that SIA is now fully operational. It's a journey that began 2 years ago through the hard work of the National Seafood Industry Alliance in securing funding for the project from the Australian Federal Government. And it's culminated in an awesome achievement. Many said it would never happen. And in the past they would have been right, but not today. And timing is really important. So I thank the recognition that I've got in the process, but it actually was a complete industry process, and there were so many stakeholders involved. It's not something that one person could do alone. So I really accept and congratulate and acknowledge that effort. So a round of applause, actually. Let's have one of those. So SIA was designed, sorry, see that I was demanding. Round of applause. Thank you for doing what I asked. SIA was designed by industry for industry, and we represent each link in the chain. So from wild catch, aquaculture and post-harvest. And the post-harvest element, I feel very strongly, was a missing link in the past. We are the face of the consumer, and we need to have that conversation so we can tell the story, so post-harvest can tell those stories. So I think that's a really important element. And it's obviously the first opportunity in quite a while to have national representation, so that's very exciting. Through collaboration with our members and existing state and sector bodies, which SIA absolutely recognises have been doing a lot of good and hard work for a long time, we want to amplify the right messages. We want to tackle issues of national importance and provide a single point of consultation for government, NGOs and stakeholders where appropriate. So SIA will seek to change the dynamic with those outside our industry who attack or misrepresent our value and our role in the Australian economy and the community. SIA will hunt down, and I use that word hunt down, misinformation and call out sensationalism in the media around issues that affect our industry. We will respond with facts through science and research, but we'll also acknowledge that sometimes we're going to have to get creative because facts aren't always enough. So we need to rebuild the trust that we have with the community by communicating our strengths, and very importantly, and this is a sentiment running a lot through the industry at the moment, is acknowledge where we need to improve, acknowledge the things that we're not doing well, and actually declare that to the community. People respond to transparency. I'd like to thank our initial directors, our inaugural directors. I don't know that they expected these board positions to be as heavy going with as much work, but in a set-up phase of an organisation, there's a lot to do. So I'd like to recognise Chauncey Hammond, Marshall Betzel, Mark Ryan, Belinda Wilson, Dennis Holder and Marcus Steer, and I thank you very much. The SIA Constitution, I'll just talk about this for a minute. I won't bore you, I promise. When I say the word constitution, everybody sort of settles back in their chair. It's designed to ensure constant rejuvenation. It's a really important part of SIA. So our directors will only serve maximum terms of 2 years. And there's a constant rotational theme. So at the very next AGM, 2 directors will retire. We'll get, and this is in response to the amazing depth of people and skills and experience that we recognise in the industry. We want a constant flow of information and new ideas and innovation coming through the SIA board. So we're really excited about the concept that SIA will reflect the industry by being dynamic and actually setting the pace when it comes to taking the best out of people and moving them on. So we really look forward to that, and we urge everybody to get involved and see SIA as potentially something that they want to be involved in at that level. I'd like to welcome our new CEO, Jane Lovell. It was a robust recruitment process that we went through, but Jane was an outstanding candidate, and there was no doubt that her energy and her passion and commitment are going to be a huge asset to SIA. Jane spent a bit of time working in 4 years working in Senator Richard Colbeck's office in the fisheries policy, so she has some very particular experiences in that time that I'm sure she'll let you know about. And it's... And Jane will be on the conference straight after morning tea, the conference panel straight after morning tea. So I hope that you get your questions prepared for her. She's ready to answer. So Jane yesterday facilitated our first National Members Advisory Forum here in Sydney. We had a huge turnout from members to come in and have their say, which was fantastic. The energy in the room was overwhelming. It was great, and the free flow of ideas was powerful, and proof again of what happens when an industry works together. All 3 sectors side by side talking about similar issues. So we are diverse, we feel like we do different things, but our issues are actually the same and cross all sectors. The most pressing issues identified by the members, and this is not an exhaustive list, but the ones that we will focus on first are improvement of social licence and community respect with the community, country of origin labelling in the food service. Thank you, Minister, for mentioning that in your speech. Biosecurity, very important up on the list. Resource allocation and access, seismic testing, which is starting to affect a lot of people, and surety around access to the diesel fuel rebate for businesses. So the Minister and I will have another discussion soon after at morning tea. So SIA will be putting its efforts and its time into those 5 priorities at the moment. We understand it's not an exhaustive list, but for SIA to be effective, we also have to be focused and targeted. So one thing that we have also agreed as a board is that we will have to say no. We will have to say no to some issues because we'd rather do a small number of things very well and get results than spread ourselves around and not actually get anything done. SIA has to be focused on measurable results. To ensure, actually, here comes my membership pitch. So here comes the thing that Brian was talking about. So the future of SIA, to maximise our ability to promote, protect and develop the Australian seafood industry, we need your support. So we do have 100 organisations who've shown courage and leadership to give SIA a start. And I understand that many of you have watched and many of you supported the process, but we actually need you in a physical sense. We need membership. So we need you to come forward, even if you haven't been directly asked the question. We need you to get involved in SIA for the future of the industry. So we have a booth in the exhibition hall. The directors, Jane, the CEO, and myself will be there. Please come and have that conversation. Please don't sit back and let some people do the heavy lifting. Please step forward. So we would appreciate everyone to contribute to our positive future. I just want to make one point clear as well. I think it's critical to remember that the Australian seafood industry is not just about fishing. And it's actually not just about people. I feel it's about families. Families who work together on a boat or in a shop or in an aquaculture business. Families who want to plan their future and their children's future with confidence and be valued when doing so. It's about families. It's also about families who don't fish and who need us to fish for them, and who want to put Australian seafood on their dinner table every night. So I think it's important to recognise what we actually do and the different contexts in which it can be seen. So finally, I wish you a very fulfilling and invigorating conference. I hope you get all the information that you and I need to make sure our businesses withstand the future and evolve for the future. So I really appreciate your time, and I look forward to meeting more of you individually. So thank you very much.